Hello, welcome to episode 94 of the Epic Film Challenge to 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. 1979's Nosferatu. I believe the full title is Nosferatu, The Phantom of the Night, or Phantom of the Night. I think it's something like that. The fourth and final Dracula film in the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. So this is kind of rounding off this series within a series of reviewing the four Dracula films in the book. And we've gone chronologically for... No, we haven't actually, because I did the first two. I did the Draculas first, then the Nosferatu. Okay, so not quite chronologically, but we're ending on the latest one that is in the book. Now, there have been so many Dracula films, and there will continue to be Dracula films. In fact, someone pointed out in the comments that they're remaking Nosferatu very soon. So these films and this story, this core story from Bram Stoker is just going to get remade and remade and remade. And it remains to be seen whether someone will produce another film that is worthy of perhaps being in a book called 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. This film, directed by Werner Herzog, a German director. This is the second film I've seen from him, and stars, I guess, a semi-frequent collaborator with him, the actor Klaus Kinski, who is a very interesting figure, for just the guy himself. The stories about him and his temper and how volatile he was, and lots of stories you can read into with Klaus Kinski, but he certainly gives memorable performances on screen, and this one is no different as he portrays Count Dracula in the film. This is a straight-up remake of the F.W. Murnau film from 1922, which kind of fits because it's, again, it's another German film of the story, and it very closely follows everything that happened in that 1922 film. Only this time, I believe the rights to the Bram Stoker novel had fallen either into public domain or the copyright was over. I don't know what the thing was, but they could use the names now. So we have Count Dracula, we have Jonathan Harker, we have Lucy instead of Mina. Lucy was another character, and it's just going to switch to the role of Mina. Jonathan Harker's girlfriend, and we have Van Helsing, and we have Renfield. I'll get the bad stuff out of the way first. Renfield, didn't like him in the film. Same as Knock, not in the original Nosferatu. Just didn't click for me in the film whatsoever. He was there literally to just be like, oh, master, master, and then he just did nothing of any significance. Even less so in this version, I felt like. So I wasn't a fan of him in this film. Van Helsing in this film was shit. I'm sorry. Didn't like the actor, didn't like the character. Van Helsing, it just didn't feel like Van Helsing to me. I mean, Van Helsing was, it was Lucy who was saying, we need to stop this Dracula. I know who he is. I know how to stop him. And Van Helsing said, no, you're being silly. Don't be ridiculous. Van Helsing was a non-believer. And then the ending of his character is very strange to me as well. So I really did not like Van Helsing in this film. However, the rest of the film was phenomenal. The rest of the film was fantastic. I loved it. I really, from the opening scene, which was so haunting with the music, and Herzog shot these kind of mummified bodies, and it's a grim kind of visual beginning to the film, and with the music, and then we get this incredible slow motion shot of a bat flying. Amazing intro to the film. And the cinematography is fantastic. Again, it takes a lot of visual cues from the 1922 film. I love how they didn't redo the classic shot of Nosferatu, Dracula, going up the stairs with the shadow. They do play with the shadow a lot. And of course, Klaus Kinski's kind of makeup as Dracula is pretty much identical to Max Schreck's makeup and look in the 1922 Nosferatu. As I said, it's a straight-up remake, even to the point that I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure, that the building that Dracula moves into is the exact same building they used in the original Nosferatu. It looks identical, the same kind of old stone building, and I'd like to think it was the same one that they used. If not, they did a good job making it look just like it. Klaus Kinski's performance as Dracula was brilliant. I thought he was creepy, I thought he was scary, but I also thought he was vulnerable, and that's something I haven't actually seen from Dracula up until this point. To the point where I think, I don't know whether, it's a tough one, but I think my favourite Dracula is Bela Lugosi, but I think the best Dracula that I've seen is Klaus Kinski. And I think it's more to do with the fact that his character is better in this film. He talks about how he is tortured because he's been alive for hundreds of years, and he talks about how, is it more painful to have to live through hundreds of years of loneliness than to suffer through something, you know, like a normal death or whatever, you know. And he talks about that, and he confronts Lucy, and he talks about, you know, how he just wants to feel love, you know, and then the abject just loneliness and all the stuff he's going through is so painful. I love that. I love that that was incorporated into the character. It gave him more of a motive than just, I'm going to go there and I'm going to bite this girl and I'm going to bite this girl, you know. Yeah, he's feeding off the blood, but he's also looking for something more, and I love that about the character. And I thought that Klaus Kinski his performance was very creepy and suitable for the character. I think my perfect Dracula film would be directed by F.W. Murnau. It would have the production design and feel of the 1931 Dracula. It would star Klaus Kinski as Dracula. I'd have Peter Cushing from the Hammer film as Van Helsing, and I think that would be the perfect Dracula film for me. Yeah, what else can I really go into about this one, the Herzog version? Again, cinematography, there's the scene where Harker kind of walks up to Dracula's castle on foot through these mountains is incredible. There's lots of really long shots in the film, just really slow, kind of almost hypnotic scenes, just showing you stuff that's happening. There's this great scene where the ship that's carrying Dracula comes into the town, and you see it literally roll through this canal. And the shot must be about a minute long, if not longer, and I'm thinking, wow, he's really holding on this shot. And as soon as the shot comes to its end, you realise that the guy who's driving the ship on the wheel is dead and is tied to the wheel as it comes in and kind of clunks against the side of the canal, and it's kind of like a reveal, you know. And I just thought that was great. A very similar shot from the original Nosferatu, kind of panning in on the ship as it's going across the sea, but this time it's a bit more elegant, and the camera's placed up higher, and it turns around and it shows the ship going off into this misty horizon of nothingness. Just brilliant shots in this. There are two versions. It was filmed as an English language version and a German language version. I watched the German version, which Herzog said is more authentic, so I went with that one. And you know the story of Dracula. You know that there's a guy who goes out to this guy called Count Dracula, and you know he comes back because he wants to buy a house, comes with the coffins and the dirt he was buried in, because he can stay alive, and he's a vampire and he preys on women, and you know, but it does things differently, and it's weird seeing all these things that come into play. Like in this film, Dracula says, you hear these wolves howling, and he says, "Can you hear them? Children of the night," you know, the same line from the 1930s Dracula. Then you have all the visual cues that were taken from the 1922 version, and you have just all these bits from the story, to the point where I really have no clue how the original book goes. I should definitely read it and check it out for myself, I think, because I think it'd be quite interesting. I kind of wanted to by the time I got to this video, but I just didn't have time to. So I have no idea how faithful either of them are really, but all four of the films, I think, do an interesting job with the way the story goes. But there were things about this I didn't like, niggles and little things here and there, nothing worth going into really. Like I said, Renfield I didn't care for. Van Helsing was such a I mean, Van Helsing in this film, I didn't even know he was Van Helsing until about an hour and 20 minutes into the film, when Lucy says, "Dr. Van Helsing," and it's like, oh, that's him, is it? And his performance was flat. His character didn't do anything of it. I was a real disappointment. But at the same time, I wasn't really expecting it, because Van Helsing isn't really a part of the 1922 Nosferatu. So it felt like he was shoehorned into this version in a way. I thought the final scene with Nosferatu, Dracula in this film, was very effective. There's an amazing scene where Lucy's sitting at her kind of dressing table. She's got a mirror to look at and stuff, doing makeup, whatever, I guess, you know, what women have, the makeup table and mirror. And she sat there looking into the mirror, and the camera's looking at her face through the mirror, and the door behind her opens independently, and a shadow appears on the wall in the next room. And she realizes it's Dracula, and she gets really scared. And then the door shuts, and the shadow is now inside the room because he has no reflection. And then suddenly you see his hand come into... Amazing shot. I love the way that they brought him into the frame, and that really, really cool use of shadows. There's great shots of Dracula throughout the film. It feels like whenever Dracula's there, Herzog puts special effort into making it look really interesting visually. So yeah, I think it's a great film. Is it a film you'll see before you die? Yes, it is a clean sweep. All four Dracula films that are in this book, and probably the four of the most famous ones. I do think the Francis Ford Coppola one is up there for some people as well, and rightfully so, with the big names in it and everything. But from memory, that one wasn't quite as refined or interesting, maybe, to me than these four films. To rank them, where would I rank them? Part of me thinks this is the best one of all of them, but I think out of enjoyment, I think I would go the Hammer version with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, then the 30s version, then the 70s version, and then the 1922 original, which will probably shock a lot of people. And like I said, I've talked about that in the past video for that, so I won't go into it, but I think that that's my least favourite. But I think that the best film is probably the 1922 Nosferatu. I think it's an incredible film. Herzog himself said he thinks that's the greatest German film ever made, or he said that at one point in the 90s. So yeah, I think that's probably the best one, but it's my least favourite, which is kind of weird, you know, because again, I don't feel like the Hammer horror version is like an amazing film. I just don't think it is, but I love it, you know. It's interesting. But this film's a film you should see before you die because of, I think, primarily Klaus Kinski as Dracula, but also just the way that it's shot. It's just, again, there's some hypnotic sequences to this. I loved how they dealt with the Black Plague stuff, the Black Death, you know, and the plague coming in, and there's something really unnerving about seeing all of the coffins being rolled through the town in this film, because the coffins are really kind of, it's like freshly cut wood. You know, these aren't dark coffins that have been polished and you know, adorned with kind of stuff. You know, it's literally get some wood, slap together some coffins, because people are dropping like flies, and there's a real creepy feeling to that, seeing these freshly cut and put together coffins being rolled through the streets and things like that. There's a scene where everyone is dancing around in the town. There's rats everywhere that are infected, and these people are just having a meal, and they say, "Come with us. We've all got the plague, and we're going to make the most of life while we still got, you know, breath in us," basically, to paraphrase. And I like that idea. Like, you know, what would you do if you are going to die? So just enjoy your last meal or something. Lots of cool ideas in this. Not a perfect film. I do feel like the ending dragged out a little bit too long. Like, there's a bit towards the end where it felt like Dracula was out of the film for a bit too long for me. But yeah, I think it's a great film, and another great version of the story. And I think they're all worth watching for different reasons. And yeah, it's an interesting journey to go through these 4 films, because they all tell the same story, and a lot of the times it's very similar, but there's also very interesting differences throughout all of them. But I think the ones I would go back to the most would be the Hammer horror version from 1958. This one, I want to watch this one again, and even the 30s version. But I don't know about the original Nosferatu. There's something about it that doesn't engage me as much as I wish it would, even though I recognise it's a great film, and I think it's a great film, and it's done so well, and it was so ahead of its time for the way it was constructed and put together. But yeah, I'm definitely going to revisit it. I mean, I've got the Blu-rays up here, the original 1922 version, and there's 2 commentaries, there's documentaries. I'm going to delve into those and maybe try and, you know, get myself into it a bit more next time, you know. It's definitely a grower, you know. It's not like one of those films that I don't enjoy at all. I enjoy it and appreciate it, and yeah, but I have to be honest, it doesn't engage me as much as the other ones, but I think it's the best Dracula film. So there we go. That is about it, I think. I think there's anything else I can cover quite. I did say in the last video that Connie had seen the original Nosferatu, but she didn't want to watch it again because she found it creepy. She's now confirmed to me that it was this one.
Because I found it boring.
Oh, boring! But you said you found it creepy with the guy with the you know
yeah, he's creepy looking. Like,
he's
creepy
looking.
I
Yeah, but
to portray Dracula as the way Lugosi is.
Okay, alright, so you like the Lugosi version. That's the thing, I like the creepy version. I also like the suave, debonair version, like Lugosi and Christopher Lee. I like that there's different interpretations, and I enjoy all of them. But you saw the shot towards the end, and you were like, ugh, like it was, you know.
The shot that I reacted to was freaking disgusting.
Disgusting, there we go, so you found it disgusting. Yeah, but I just want to say that she's probably seen this version, not that one, in its entirety.
Yeah,
that's the one.
I recognised the woman on the bed and the window behind her.
Okay, yeah, so...
But, that's all I remember.
That's all you remember. Okay, so just to clear that up, because she wasn't sure. Anyway, that is it for now. Thank you for watching. This has been the kind of 4-run Nosferatu / Dracula reviews. Alright, I actually forgot to kind of go into the ending a little bit. Don't know how I managed to do that when I talked and blabbered on for almost 15 minutes, but here we go, and consider yourself warned, spoiler stuff. I really enjoyed how at the end, I mean, considering Van Helsing was pretty much wasted in the film, Lucy took on the role of the person who was figuring out who Dracula was, and she was going to take him down. I like that kind of reversal. I like the actress who played her. I really like the guy who played Jonathan Harker. He was really good at kind of the second phase of his character in the film, when he comes back from his journey back from Dracula's castle, and he's been infected, and his transition over into what the twist is at the end, which I really enjoyed, was that he was going to become, I guess, the next Dracula, or he was going to become this vampire. I really don't know if it's that clear that all of Dracula's victims become vampires with teeth. I know that the law with vampires is if you get bit, you turn into a vampire, but the last shot of him in the film, he has the same teeth as Dracula, and I really liked that, and just the way that the makeup made him look sullen at the end, all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the ending. Just Van Helsing was kind of wasted. So there we go, just wanted to check in on that. Thank you for watching, I'll see you in the next one.